Hey, my name's Des, and so we've just been through this incredible series called Set in Stone, and many people sent in questions through our app with questions around what we're talking about to do with the Ten Commandments, and I said that I would do my best to answer every single question. And what I'm going to do over these series of videos right now is try and answer the questions that you sent in through the app or through email, and I've tried to cluster them together as well into each of the commandments as we go. So they're going to be really short answers. It'll probably cause more questions, but the goal for me is for you to keep having dialogue with them, because that's how you learn, and we can engage in questions and discuss them as we go. And so super quick to start off with, I'm going to dive into the ones that were quite general, mostly related to number 1 and number 2 commandment of have no other gods before me and make no graven images, no idols. Don't even make an image of God. Why would you want to worship a thing when he is right here with you? But also note there was a big question to do with, is this law and grace? And that was really, I believe, answered in my final message of the series, which I did, which you can go online and check that out. And that message was called Outpouring Love. Okay, here we go, super quick. One of the questions to do with the emphasis that I pointed out in the Ten Commandments was that of, if God says do not do something, then you are, by default, you should do something. So that emphasis on do not as opposed to do. So when God says do not commit adultery, by default it's saying be faithful. So why, the question is, why didn't God just say be faithful? Why do we have to have the negative do not as opposed just the affirmative please do this? In every culture, you'll know, maybe from a parenting perspective, we sometimes have to make things really clear that this really is not a good thing to do. The heart behind the not is everything to do with a why. Because we want the best for you. Because we love you. Because there is something better and more. And it leans that way. But sometimes we are pulled up short with a, hey, don't do that, it's going to hurt. Don't do that, it's going to lead to more trouble. And so it isn't because God was being negative, it was just a clear, strong communication, especially to that culture. So the overall anthem, the overall theme, of the Ten Commandments, in God saying, this is what I do not want you to do, is because he loves. They are promises that if we do not do these things, by default, we are going to do the things that lead to life. So that's the overall theme. So let me dive into some of the themes that were related to number 2 in the graven images. Somebody asked a simple question. What about the movies these days that are made about God? Are they not violating making an image of God? And, you know, there's kind of comedic movies out there, and the Bruce Almighty and the Evan Almighty, and, you know, those other things, and God for a Day shows, and maybe even people say, what about the Shaq movie, and all of those things. I'm not going to get into some controversy about this, but the clear definition in number 2 is do not bow down to, don't worship, don't give value to, honor to. Don't you go worshipping those things. They're not the source of everything. Don't give your attention to. But if there's something that inspires you and draws you to God, which I think those movies can do that, then that is not violating, in my opinion, number 2 at all. But then there was a really serious question somebody raised. In the Roman Catholic denomination, there's a whole image around images and venerating saints and praying through saints and praying to Mary and through Mary, and the bowing down to images and all those different things. And that seems to be in a violation to. But number 2 commandment says do not do that. It's kind of complex. And if you were to speak to somebody who is a really devout Roman Catholic who is following the Lord, they would say, well, it's kind of different, and veneration isn't worship, and all of that. But I think what happened in culture is this. There is a real craving to be blessed by God and want something from God. And so if there was somebody who was blessed and you could see it, and they become sainthood in that sense, then what happens is we want some of what they had. and maybe we could receive it some way if we could touch or honor them in some way, and by some way honoring them, the Lord might honor us. I just want to say this with my opinion. The cross and the resurrection means we don't need to do that. We have clear pathway to God. We don't need to pray through anyone, anything else. We have direct access to God. We can humbly, right where you are right now, pray to the Almighty King of Kings, Lord of Lords. And we can reach out to him that way. We don't have to go through a certain way or agree to a set of pathways or rules or laws or any form of religious behavior that way. And so I want to say that, is the Roman Catholic Church violating number 2? It's more complex than that, and you should do your homework on it. It's more complex, but we need to know the grace of God, the cross and the resurrection has made access for all open to God. We simply come with a humble posture, a repentant posture before a holy God, and he hears us, and he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sin and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. So we don't need to go down that avenue. Enough for this first video. That was kind of 6 minutes longer than I want it to be. Future ones will be shorter. So check out the next videos as we engage in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Thanks for listening.